Hey everyone, so I am the proud daddy of a brand new app that is free in the App Store right now for the next couple weeks called Northlight DP. It is an app that helps you build lighting scenes virtually so you can make purchasing decisions and lighting decisions on set. So why did I make this? Well, it turns out that over the years, and maybe the same way, I have spent a lot more money on cameras and lenses than I have lighting. For some reason, I have no problem spending a couple $1,000s on a camera, but $600 for a light? Slow down. I know it's a problem. But what it's manifest itself now is as I've been trying to do more advanced lighting setups, I have been having a really hard time understanding how white balance matches between camera and the lighting sources that I have. So here's a basic gist. We're going to take a look at a demo in a second. Quick analogy for you though. When it comes to lighting intensities, we have had this thing called contrast ratio for a long time. And as soon as you learn about contrast ratio, it is a huge unlock. Because basically what it means is if a director comes up to you and says, I want a really dramatic look for this actor's face, you have a number in mind possibly that'll at least get you in the ballpark. Whereas if you don't know about contrast ratios, you may be saying, I guess a 2-to-1 might do right, like twice as bright on this side of his face, and we'd be like, no. People who shot video, you're like, no, you're thinking of like a 6 or a 7-to-1. The idea being that contrast ratio is so powerful because it takes like this really nebulous concept of how bright something is. You're like, well, bright relative to what? The sun, a small candlelight? Like, it takes that really difficult concept and it gives everybody a shared vision to talk about reasonably. But there is a way of talking about ratios when it comes to color temperature, and it's called MIREDS. Who knew? So the basic idea is this. If you take 1 million and divide your Kelvin number, and then subtract that from another light source of the same scene that you're trying to light, you will get a number. And the higher that number is, either going positive or negative, that's going to be how strong of a tint you have going from cool to warm. Practically though, on set, that's not a super easy number to calculate on the fly, right? Like maybe there's some math genius out there that can do that. I can't. And that was the impetus to build this app, right? Is I said, well, I'll just build an app that does that calculation on the fly for me. But it turns out as I started building that, then I realized that an app could do so much more. And so let's take a look at the app. You'll see that it has different lights you can put in, a camera, a subject. It does a lot of really cool stuff, but most importantly, it helps you reason about color temperature and lighting ratios in a way that I've just never seen before. And I think it's really powerful, and I think it's going to revolutionize how people shoot video. And the best part is, it's totally free. For the next couple weeks anyways, an introductory offer, no in-app purchases, no signups, no future unlocks, nope, it's just totally free for the next couple weeks as a thank you to the filming and video community that I love so much. So let's take a look at the app, and on the outro, I'll talk about who I think this is gonna be most useful for. All right, so here's a quick look at PowerChord. So the interface is broken into 3 main tabs. It starts with our library. The idea here is to model the fixtures and modifiers that you currently have. So under fixtures, we have lights. We can add new lights at any time from a catalog. This will include common lights from manufacturers you've probably heard of. Under modifiers, we can do things like create reflectors, softboxes, and grids, and Fresnel spotlights. We can add bounce surfaces, which we can use to reflect light. And then finally, we have our camera section. So once again, we can add a camera from a library of cameras, or we could simply choose a camera and really set the minimum and maximum white balance values that our camera has. Each of these groups of objects then is stored in a look, and a look is simply a collection of objects in a space. So I'm going to create a new look that represents my office where I'm recording right now. So I'll call this Office Day. And by the naming right here, I could just easily make this Office Night, and I could maybe, for example, have more artificial lights in the night version and a window in my daytime version. The majority of our work then is conducted within the render, the plan, and the details view. So the details view is going to show us the result of moving our lights and setting our subject, as well as us defining what the property of our lights is. The render view is going to show the final look on our subject, and the plan view is where we actually move our elements around on screen. So for example, I could take my camera and move it closer to my subject. I could take my lights and move them further or closer away. And I can do things like move my modifiers, in this case, this diffusion layer that I've placed in front of my subject. We have properties for each of these areas. For example, I can show the walls in this room and our subject will light differently because now we're including any wall colors, ceiling colors, and floor colors in this as well. As far as using the app in your actual productions then, the whole idea is to use the MIREDS scale to grab values that you can punch into your lighting setup in your camera. And for that we have three main modes. The first is something called camera locked. The idea here is you take a white balance in your camera and you just set it, and then you choose the subject's scale and will tell you what your fixture should be set at. Now in this case I have two fixtures. I have a 200DS, which is a 5600K static light, and then a bicolor Amaran Halo 200X. So the idea would be, as we can see in a rendering view, if I wanted to render my subject neutral, I would move the slider until it's set at neutral, and then on set, we'd make sure again our camera's set to 5600K, and then we just set our Amaran 200X to 5055K. Now it should be noted that each of these lights supports things like modifiers. So back in our library, we added some modifiers by default in the demo mode. We can then take these modifiers and apply them to our lights. So for example, I could add a Fresnel spotlight right here, and notice the quality of lighting really changes. If I move my diffusion off and turn my 200D down, you'll really see the effect of that light. And again, you notice the diffusion cuts down on the shadows. Now this is one way of setting white balance. The other way is to follow the subject. The idea here is now we're actually going to say what do we want our subject to light at, and then we'll change our camera's white balance to match. Now the reason why we usually use this mode is because now that we're able to change our camera's white balance, there's more knobs to tune, and that means that we can usually get more dramatic looks. So I get a very warm or a very cool look based on the lighting setups that we have here. And you'll notice then that as I move the slider for this light, we can either get into something where we can't actually represent that, we'll be told, or we can say that we need to change our camera's white balance. Finally, we have the Explore mode. This is sort of like a playground where what we're going to do is we're going to say, take the lights that we have and just give me the absolute maximum and minimum that I can achieve with my setup. So what it's going to do is move all my sliders at once, and based on the lights that we have, it's going to say this is what you need to achieve the absolute coolest value that you can achieve, or the warmest value. And so using this workflow then of defining the objects that you have, creating looks, which you can refer to at any point, and then using these sliders to say how you want to achieve the look on your subject, it'll tell us what Kelvin and white balance settings we need for each one of our subjects. Should be noted in closing that this app is fully synced with any other devices that you have. And this is mostly important because we can also measure our lights so that we can further refine the values that we're giving the app. So in other words, in our library, we can say this Amaran Halo 200X has this range of colors, it has this relative output, and it has this beam spread. But if we calibrate the item, we can get even more specific values on set. It's not necessary for all looks, but the goal of the app is to create as clear and concise a look that matches reality as possible. All right, that's Northlight DP. Could not be more excited. So who do I think this is most useful for? If you're still kind of on the fence, if you need to make lighting purchase decisions, because we base our lights on real lights, and because you can change or add any lights that aren't in our database, this will help you answer those questions of, should I buy another X light? Because now instead of guessing, you just literally see what it does to your setup. I think the other big class of people, and this one's the more obvious one, is just people who want to light scenes and who don't want to spend all the time trying to learn and perfect their understanding of Kelvin, but just want to do so in the app so that you can gain an intuitive understanding of what it means to set your camera to this value and your lights to some other values. And I think this is a learnable skill, but for right now, the app will help you gain a more, grounded intuition for that. So that's my hope. So thank you so much for watching. Go grab the app again, totally free, Mac App Store and iOS App Store. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and yeah, let's build some cool stuff together, and let's keep building the app. So thanks for watching.